student at the moment. Join. क्या हाल है आप लोगों के? खैरियत है? 4th of November, and this is section B, and we are in the class of hydrology and water resources. I think we have the second last week before the midterm exam. So, if you have any questions up till now, what we have studied till now, if I go through briefly. Last time we studied, I think, different gauges, different instruments which are required to measure the rainfall and snow. Those gauges which are used to measure. So, any question in that lecture? How many kinds of rain gauges did we study? And if that lecture was finished, we have to go through some slides. Complete हो गया था last lecture. And who is with me? All of them are muted. Akib Ali, how are you?
Yes, sir. Alhamdulillah.
हाल है आपको? किस सिटी में बैठे? Akib Ali, in which city you are located?
Sahiwal, sir.
Sahiwal, very good.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Can you briefly tell what we studied in the last lecture? जी आकिब. Abdul Hasib Ahmed.
Ji sir.
Can you describe what did we study last week?
So we studied about rain gauges. In rain gauges, there were two types of gauges, non-recording and recording.
Yes. And within the
Then
recording,
there was
within the recording kind of gauges, what were the types? I think three kind of.
US National Weather Bureau rain gauge.
That is a non-recording. I'm asking recording gauges के कौन-कौन सी types थी?
Tipping bucket, floating, and weight type.
Floating, okay. Float type rain gauge, weighing bucket.
Yes, sir.
Not only bucket. Bucket is in every rain gauge has a bucket. So one is weighing type, one is bucket type. What bucket type? One is weighing type rain gauge. One is bucket के साथ
tipping bucket. Weighing bucket.
Tipping bucket. Tipping bucket. In which the bucket tips on one side, and that number of tips are recorded. Our tilt, bucket tilt on one side, our tip on one side, and we record the number of tips and number of tilts of the bucket. And usually, what is the range of the rain which one tip of the bucket records? One tip of the bucket records usually how much rainfall in depth unit? Hasib, Abdul Hasib.
Sir, 0.25 millimeters.
0.2 से लेके 0.25 millimeter of depth. So less than a millimeter it can measure. So it's very precise, very good rain gauge. So what else I should ask? Thank you, Asif. I will go to आकिब. आपको फिर मैं नलायकों में शामिल कर लूं?
नहीं सर, नहीं सर, मैं अभी सो के उठा हूँ तो.
सारे सो के उठे बेटे, रात को सोते हैं, दिन में काम
नहीं सर, मैं अभी उठा ही था अभी.
तो ये अपना ये भी वही नलायकों में ही आएगी ना बात.
सर नहीं, मैंने पढ़ा था ये.
As you like. There is a C. Jani Pyara. Pirara.
Yes, sir.
So what's the name? First tell me the name. C.
Jayani Pereira.
C. Jani Pereira from Sri Lanka.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can you tell me what are the possible sources of error in case of measurement using rain gauges? Can you tell me sources
Sorry,
of
sir.
error? Sorry, mean what? You did not understand my question, you don't want to answer.
Yeah, I didn't understand.
Okay, question I repeat if you don't understand. There are some sources of error. There are some sources of error
Yeah.
that sometimes we can avoid, sometimes we cannot avoid. Can you tell me few sources of errors? By here, rain through rain gauges.
To rain gauges.
Yeah. What do you think if you have installed a rain
No.
gauge in your courtyard in your house? So what can be possible source of error? It records less than the actual. It records more than actual rain.
Less than actual rain.
Now you understand it. Now you can answer it. Am I right? You have huge
Yeah,
rainfall
sir.
in you cannot avoid rain gauges. Yara. So huge rain. I should put it along with archaeology and those who are not taking interest. Okay. Okay. Thanks for talking. You want to share anything?
No. No.
There's a Laiba Lahore 2000. Laiba Lahore 2000. Actually, this is a way of marking the attendance also. Because just joining is not sufficient. Laiba is absent, seems to be. Okay. Laiba is absent. That's good. Muin Abbas.
यस सर
मुइन अवैस क्या हाल है आपके?
ठीक है अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह सर
ये मोटी मोटी आवाजें बता रही होती है कि बंदा अभी सो के उठा है.
सॉरी सर तो नेट मेरा थोड़ा लैग कर रहा है वो कभी कभार अड़ जाता है पता है.
फिक्र ना करो बड़ी अच्छी आवाज आ रही है. I am asking about sources of errors in
Sorry?
rain gauge. Sources of errors in measurement of the rain.
एरर सर
जी.
सर वो क्या कहते हैं वो जब बढ़ जाते हैं वो क्या कहते हैं रेन गेजेस में तब और उसकी इनिशियल वेटिंग को वो सही तरह ड्राई ना हो तब रेन ड्रॉप्स के स्प्लैशेस पड़ते हैं तो वो बाहर चला जाता है वो डेप्थ्स में मेजरमेंट गेज अगर कहीं हो तो वो और उसके अलावा इवेपोरेशन कॉज हो जाती है कभी कभार वो उसकी वजह से भी हम एक्चुअली रेन की मेजरमेंट नहीं सही कर पाते सर.
You are right. So पहला जो
नोट्स है
error
वो मेरे ज़हन में नहीं आया.
the first error you told me was
सर मैंने बताया था कि वो क्या कहते हैं डेंट्स
first
पर जब मेजरिंग स्टिक्स होती है
dents.
उसकी वजह से ना वो रीडिंग्स हम
If the shape of the yeah, you are right. That is one of the main cause of error. If the shape of the collector, the collar or the collector, that is damaged or that is reshaped or that is changed, and if the shape of the measuring cylinder, if that is changed or dented or damaged, then we will be measuring less than the expected rainfall, less than the actual rainfall. If the shape of the collector changes, and usually when dents are there, its cross-sectional area reduces. So we will be measuring less than the normal rainfall. But if the dent is there in the cylinder, we will be measuring more than the actual rainfall. If the dent is there in the cylinder, then it will be showing us more depth. You are right. Another cause of error is leakage that we can easily avoid by observation, that if there is any leakage. Another cause is evaporation. You are right. What is the error? How much is the error because of insertion of the stick inside the measuring cylinder? Umar Malik, thank you. Muin, आप
Sir,
mute कर दें.
roughly
Thank you, Muin. You can mute it. Umar Malik,
Yes, sir.
क्या हाल है?
ठीक ठाक.
ये आपने वो लगाया हुआ है कोई हैंड फ्री?
Yes, sir.
अच्छा, उसमें काफी नॉइज है. चलो अब नॉइज खत्म हो गया, ठीक हो गया. ओके, उमर मलिक, आई एम आस्किंग हाउ मच इज approximate error because of insertion inside the measuring cylinder.
तो जितना स्टिक का वॉल्यूम
अगर आप हैंड फ्री रिमूव कर दें तो क्या होगा?
सर वो इंटरनेट पर वीक है इसलिए सर वैसे
इंटरनेट
उसका
बहुत अच्छी आवाज भेज रहा है. तुम अपने को तारे शारे सही करो, ये हैंड फ्री रिमूव करो. अब बोलो. म्यूट मत करो ना अपने आप को. Umar, don't mute yourself. Yes, now it's fine. Can you speak? बोल रहा है but we are not getting voice. Okay, अपना सिस्टम को ठीक करो. We will come to you again. Shamsur Rahman.
Yes, sir.
How are you?
Fine, sir.
Which city you are located?
Sir, Gujarat से.
गोजरा से. गोजरा
जी.
के कोई हॉकी का प्लेयर का नाम बताओ.
सर काफी है, वकास भी है और शहनाज भी था एक.
आपके करीब 3 रेन गेज स्टेशन कौन से हैं?
करीब 3 फैसलाबाद में होंगे.
फैसलाबाद is closer to you or Sahiwal?
फैसलाबाद.
Okay, Faisalabad has a big meteorological station similar to that in Lahore, so that is the closest. You are right. Okay, I was asking if the insertion of the stick in the measuring cylinder, if it cause any error.
Yes, sir.
How much?
सर इसका हम करेक्शन फैक्टर लगाते हैं, वो 1 से कम होना चाहिए.
वो कम होता है, होना चाहिए नहीं होता है. So, what is that correction factor? Can you tell me the equation for that? If capital A is the representing the area of measuring cylinder, small a is representing the cross-sectional area of stick, what will be the correction factor?
Sir, capital A minus the area of stick over capital A.
Yeah, you are right. Thank you. Okay, if anybody have any question from the last lecture, otherwise we'll move ahead. Okay, no question. That's good. So in our next topic, we have to tell you did we started this topic already? Precipitation gauge network. Already. Okay, the figure in the title page is showing the map of world. You can easily identify, and on that map of the world there are yellow dots, and the yellow dots are showing you the gauges installed for measurement of the rain. So some of the areas have hugely gauged or heavily gauged. You see this area. Some area is sparsely gauged, very few rain gauges over there. And if you see some of the gauges, so what do you think? What you get the idea out of this gauge network? Which kind of area has more gauges? What can be the possible causes of different density of the gauges? You see this a map and see their distribution. Some area have densely populated gauge network, and some area has sparsely calculated gauge network. What can be the possible reason? Just your guess. Anybody?
So the amount of precipitation within the area, because it varies.
So those areas who have more precipitation,
There are more gauges.
they have got more gauges. What do you think about the area close to the zero degree latitude, that is we call equator, and close to that equator there is the tropical areas. You know now tropical areas are 23.5 degree north from equator and 23.5 degrees south from equator, I think. So those are these two thick lines. This is the tropical area. You think tropical area are getting less rainfall as compared to the USA and as compared to Japan, as compared to the Europe? Huge rainfall occur in this tropical area. Indonesia, Malaysia, south of India. World's highest rainfall recorded in 24 hours in India. Or Sri Lanka, I was saying. Anybody else? You can easily guess. Anybody else? You are right, whosoever was talking, where there is more rainfall, ideally we should have more rain gauges there. But the picture we are seeing is the actual condition. So why it is not so? किसको जगाऊं?
Sir, I think these are the developed countries.
Yeah, you are right. And you are Mr. Anis Malik. Anis is right. If we see the countries and if you can recognize the countries, USA, this is anybody? ये क्या इलाका है?
This is Europe, sir.
Europe.
And what is this area?
This is China.
Japan.
This island is Japan. This is Korea. China is this one. This part is China. So it is actual density of the gauges is much dependent upon the income level of the country, how developed the country it is, how much is their GDP. GDP is gross domestic product, which measures the total income generated or total money generated by that country in a year, GDP. So it depends upon GDP, how dense is the network, although requirement may be that more rainfalls, there should be more gauges. But they have installed more gauges because they could afford, or we can say they understood the importance of the gauge network. As the rain gauge is not same all across the world, and rain gauge itself size is very small. Do you remember the diameter of the size of a rain gauge? Collector of the rain gauge कितना हमने कहा था? Standard rain gauge है उसका size क्या है? Diameter
Sir, 5 to 8 inches.
5 to 8 inch. So that is the diameter of the standard rain gauge collector. So that is theoretically actually measuring rain on that much diameter only. Next 8 inch, it is just assuming that we have the same rainfall. So the reason is that we cannot install rain gauge on every inch on every place. So when we cannot install rain gauge on every place, so the rain gauge which we want to install, which we can afford, those should be placed in a proper manner so that they should give us the correct picture of the rainfall in the area of interest, in the area in which we are interested. For example, if I am Pakistan meteorological person, then I am interested in Pakistan geographical area. So I should develop the location, I should develop the gauge network, or I should decide the location of each gauge in such a way that the whole country is covered. The variation of the rainfall because of the topographical variation, because of the hill or mountains that cause change of rainfall, that should be properly depicted through the rain gauge measurements. And thing is that much money should also not be spent. So ideally each inch should be gauged, but we cannot. We have very less number of rain gauges which we can install because of economical reasons. So we have to properly plan a gauge network, and World Meteorological Organization have given us the guidelines that if area is of this kind, topography is of this kind, rain is of this kind, so gauge density should be so much. Gauge density is a measure of how many rain gauges are there in a certain area. It is actually the area total. So its units will be area per gauge. So when I divide the total area into gauges, the answer comes out to be kilometer square per gauge. So gauge density represents if the gauges installed are more or less. It is a measure of how many gauges are installed, or how much area one gauge is covering. Alternatively, it shows gauge density shows how much area one gauge is serving or one gauge is covering. So this is what this message we have to tell you, and that is what is described over here. Because the precipitation distribution is uneven, it is not constant. If it would have been constant, if we would have been getting the constant rainfall all along the territorial areas, all around the country, one gauge would have been sufficient. If we had not known that rainfall is same at all the places, then one rain gauge is sufficient. But because the rain varies from location to location, so we should design the gauge network or precipitation gauge network in such a way that the variation should be well recorded. Variation should be well recorded so that our calculations of water availability, our calculation of the rainfall are well depicting the actual condition. So that is what is mentioned over here. There are two reasons to plan a good rain gauge network, because precipitation gauge catch area is small. So that is that catch area means diameter of the collector. That is actually the catch area. So that is small. So it is representing theoretically only that much area. So to get the idea of the whole country, we cannot install gauges on every place. So whatever gauges we want to install, that should be properly planned so that the variation of the rainfall can be well recorded. so that we can have the good idea of the actual water availability. So that is the purpose. So amount of precipitation varies from place to place, that I have already explained. If precipitation was not varying, it was same at all the places, one gauge would have been sufficient. So we are showing you here the gauge network, rain gauge network in Pakistan, which is being managed or operated by Pakistan Meteorological Department. There are rain gauges installed by other departments also. So those are not shown over here. So this is rain gauge network, are stations which are measuring the rain gauge, uh, and these are controlled by Pakistan Meteorological Department. And I have taken this figure from their website. So previously, in an early research, Mr. Faisal Ghaffar, 2012, he has published a research paper. He mentioned that there are 56 gauges over the total territorial area of Pakistan, 796,000 kilometers square. So gauge density was about 14,215 kilometers square per gauge. But later on, दूसरी वाली फिगर कहाँ है? ये क्यों नहीं नजर आ रही थी? If you go to the Pakistan Meteorological Department's website now, they will be showing you 97 rain gauge locations. That is the current picture. And according to that, our gauge density comes out to be GD. Gauge density comes out to be 8,000 kilometers square per gauge. We are improving our gauge density as we are improving our forecasting, rain measurement capabilities in a better way. Day by day, we are installing. And now they are moving towards automatic weather station installation in Pakistan. So at these places, they have installed auto weather stations that can measure electronically the rainfall, and that can transmit the information to their headquarters in Islamabad and in Lahore and in Karachi. They have regional headquarters at major cities. Karachi is serving south of Pakistan. Lahore is serving central Pakistan, I think, and Islamabad is taking control of northern areas, and the whole that is the central headquarters in Islamabad. So gauge density is defined as total area under consideration divided by number of the rain gauges, and it is on average basis, it is showing the area served by one rain gauge. Gauge density is showing the area served by one rain gauge. Less gauge density means more rain gauges are there for a certain area. Less gauge density means one gauge is serving less area, means more gauges are there. Less gauge density means one gauge is serving less area. So it means we have more. WMO, World Meteorological Organization, is overall seeing the meteorological observation in the world, helping the countries' meteorological departments in measuring the different meteorological parameters in a standard way. If standard way would have not been there, can you understand, if WMO standard ways are not there, or some fixed way of measurement of meteorological parameter would have not been there, what were the possible problem with it? Problem with it is that if one country is measuring rain or any meteorological parameter in one method, and another country is measuring in another way, we cannot compare them with each other, and we cannot have a whole picture of the world with the same method of measurement. Just for example, if some country is measuring the rainfall at the ground level, just close to the land, and one is measuring at 3-meter high. So if we have two stations installed at the same location, one 10-meter high, one at the ground station, both collection of the rain will be different. because rain reaching at the ground is different as compared to the rain at the over. Some of the water vapors evaporate during this part, and there will be splashes. There will be other reasons also for differences. Wind effect will also change the catch of the rain. So they will be recording different rains at maybe at the same place. And when we will be comparing one way of the measurement to the other way of the measurement, we will not having the correct picture, correct answer, correct value of the water. So that's why a standard way of measurement of a parameter is usually recommended, and it is practiced. When we say we are measuring the US weather, standard rain gauge is designated as US weather rain gauge. So if that is standardized and every country is using that one, so their reading will be comparable. We can be sure that if one rain gauge is showing less value, other is showing high value, it is actually showing the climate change. It is actually showing their local weather. It is not because of the different system of measurement. So standard measurements are always. That's why you have ASTM, standard testing method, Americans, or you have BS, British Standard. So that standardized the way of testing the materials. So if one person have tested a material in one lab in Pakistan, and another person have tested the material in China, and they have used the same method, their result can be then compared with each other, and we can have the idea about the material. So standardization is necessary. So WMO is the organization which is helping the meteorological department of the nations, and they are coordinating the meteorological observations. So they recommend that for flat regions, gauge density 600 to 900 kilometers square per station is recommended by them. So, and if the region have more undulating topography, like mountainous region is there, then it should be less than that. 600 to 900 kilometer per second should be further reduced to 100 to 250 kilometers square per station. Reason is mountains, because of the orographic effect, mountains do change the rainfall, do change the weather condition. We have the general circulation of the winds, whose pattern is well known to us. But the local mountains in the form of the land and ocean that change the weather system. So if it is the condition, mountains are there, we should reduce the gauge density and enhance the number of stations so that rain should be well depicted. For small mountainous islands, if the mountains are there and it is an island condition, then it is further reduced that we should have at least one station for each 25 kilometers square. If it is area with very less rainfall, that is an arid zone. Arid, with respect to the climate or with respect to rain and evaporation, regions are divided into different category of aridity. If I say it in Urdu, ये होगी खुश्क इलाका या नमी वाला इलाका. So those areas which are arid means their rainfall is much less as compared to their evaporation. Annual rainfall is much less as compared to the evaporation. So if a country has rainfall, half of its evaporation, annual evaporation, we say this is arid. So if a country is arid, or if it is a polar zone, where more or less same kind of rainfall occur over a vast area, snowfall occur over a vast area, variation is not much. So in such zones, and the second thing is it is difficult to install and observe in the polar region because of the snowfall. So in arid region where rainfall is less, or in polar region, they say that higher gauge density or less number of the gauges can work or give us the good idea. about the total rainfall. So 1500 to 10,000 kilometers square per station is recommended for arid and polar zone. So Pakistan has flat and mountainous regions. Some of the Pakistan area is arid also. Average rainfall for Pakistan is 220 297 millimeter, I think. While in south and in the Sindh part and in the desert area, we have quite huge evapotranspiration or evaporation. So some part of Pakistan have been declared arid or semi-arid. So we have all these three kind of regions: flat, mountainous, arid. So depending upon type of the region, Pakistan Meteorological Department is trying to get as best possible information as it is. You see here it is sparsely placed. Stations are sparsely placed because of the aridity and low rainfall in this area. Here it is densely placed. Rain gauges are densely placed. One is mountainous region, one is second is more rainfall over here. And the third thing is we have reservoirs and we have dams over here in the northern areas. So to manage their water in a good manner, we should know the precipitation in their catchment area. So that's why we have very high number of gauges, more number of gauges, or less gauge density in the northern part as compared to in our southern or Balochistan part. So that is the recommended values. You should know it. If you are the planner of the gauge network, you should keep this in your mind. Actual gauge density at a place is affected by all these parameters. As we have already seen that economy of the country plays an important role. They can afford it. So that is one of the factor. Second thing is topography. We have seen that if mountainous area is there, then more gauges should be there, or less gauge density should be there. How is the meteorological condition? If more rainfall is there, usually gauge density should be more, so that we can better predict we can better measure not predict, we can better measure the rainfall or snowfall. Denser stream network, wherever there are more streams network, and usually it happens in a place where there is more rainfall. Where the place which have more rainfall over there, stream network is also very dense. More number of streams are there if rainfall is there. So in desert, you will not see many streams because rainfall is less, stream cannot be developed. While in case of mountains with the high rainfall, more streams are there. So if the streams are more, you should be installing more gauges over there. If population is more, it means people who are affected by the flood or drought will be more. People who are affected by the wet condition and the dry condition will be more. So you will try to give them better measurements. So over there, if the population is more, so that's why polar region have less rain gauge density, have less number of gauges, and more gauge density is there because they have very sparse population over there. So if population density is more gauges should be there, and gauge density should be less. Climatological stations are also sometimes installed rain gauges and installed at special places of our interest. Like each of the airport usually have a meteorological station because they are interested in a number of meteorological parameters which affect their aeroplanes and their activities, transportation activities is affected. So they are interested not only in rain, they are interested in wind speed also. They are interested in visibility also. They are interested in elevation of the clouds also. So usually airports have a good meteorological station, including rain gauge measurement instrument over there. So for research purpose, sometimes we install the rain gauges, like we have installed it in civil department. One rain gauge I see at the rooftop of even geological department, they also have a rain gauge. So even at the rooftop of weather of environment building, I can see a rain weather station. So weather station usually have a rain gauge installed with it. So when we have install the gauge network, then the next step is to interpret or analyze that data for meaningful answers. So these are the normal analysis we carry out for on the precipitation data. Sometimes we have the missing information, we have to fill that gap. Sometimes we have to check whether the data of a station is inconsistency with the data of the surrounding station. If they are in line with each other, they should not match with each other, but their trend should be matching with each other. Or if we have this data from a number of stations, what will be the A? So these are the three normally carried out analysis, filling the missing data, checking the consistency, and determination of the average. And you have done, I think, this in lab part also. इसमें से consistency you have done on the flow data, not on the rainfall data, I think. Is it so? The consistency you have checked in the lab part on the flow data, or you have done it on the rainfall data? Anybody?
सर रेनफॉल पे किया था शायद, फ्लो पे नहीं किया था.
Okay, so somebody is speaking at the background. Okay. We have done it on the precipitation data. So similar practice you can done on the could have done on the flow data. So if you have the flow data of 10 stations and you want to see if station 1 is data is inconsistency with the other data. Consistency means their trend should be similar. So we have to go through them quickly. If due to any reason we have a gap in the data, we call it that it has a missing data. So then there are two, three ways to fill the missing data, and for that purpose we should have data available on some surrounding stations. So standard method for filling the missing data, which is given by US Environmental Data Service, they say that at least 3 stations should be available in the surrounding location, in the surrounding of a station which has the missing data. And there are number of reasons for a missing data. For example, we have installed a gauge sometime, and if it is an auto recording gauge, then like we have it on the rooftop of civil department, so it can have many problems that it is not collecting the data. For example, its battery is out. For example, its network system is out. For example, somebody have damaged the station itself physically. So there can be many reasons which can result in missing data at a certain place. So that it is a duty of the gauge reader that he should record missing data. He should not try to fill it himself. It is the duty of the expert meteorologist or hydrologist that if he want to put information on that missing data, he should do it carefully by analyzing the surrounding station data. Because usually a gauge reader don't have a data of the surrounding station, while at the headquarter we will be having the data from all the stations. So at headquarter we can carry out such activity, or if a hydrologist is using the meteorological information or data, and when he is using it, he say, oh, January 15 data is missing. So then he can do it himself from the surrounding station. The data for which the value is missing, we say that this is the station with the missing data. We mark it with the X value, and the surrounding station we say are the index stations. So A, B, and C are set to be index station, while X is the station marked over here with the missing data. So it will be a good filling of the missing data if the stations are uniformly distributed. Our stations are placed all around the station of our interest, and more or less they are at the same distance from the station X. And another thing is they should be having the similar climatic condition. So these are the conditions which we have to see, that the index station should be as close to the station with missing record as possible. What does it mean? For example, we had 10-20 stations around X. So we will be taking the closest station, and we will be ignoring the far lying station. So the close most station, so 3 close most station or 4 close most station we will be selecting. The far lying station, if there is any station away from A, we will be not noting that one. If there is another station D over here, we will be using that one because this side is missing. If there is another E station over here at the mouse location, so we will be using that one. But if there is E station away from B on the same direction, so we can ignore that. So it should be as close to station as possible. And if in the same direction we have 2 stations, so closer one we will be using. Index station should be as evenly spaced around the station. That is not a good practice if all A, B, C station would have been on the right hand side, or all are on the left hand side, or all on the north or south side. So they should be evenly distributed, equally distributed around the station having missing data. So if you have liberty of having many stations around a station with the missing data, then you will be selecting the at least 3 stations which are located on all the sides, not only on one side. So there are 2 methods normally used. One is arithmetic mean method and other is normal ratio method. Arithmetic mean method has condition. We will be applying arithmetic mean method when normal annual precipitation of index stations. Index station, now you remember, are the surrounding station. When the index station's normal annual precipitation is within 10% of normal annual precipitation of the station with missing data. So normal annual precipitation of the index station or the surrounding station should be within 10% of the normal annual precipitation of station with missing data. This is simple and you should understand it. So if there is not much variation of the normal annual precipitation, then we can use simpler method, which is the arithmetic mean. You take the average of that day of the average of the rainfall of the missing day from the surrounding station and use it as a missing precipitation for the station under interest. So arithmetic mean. So what is normal annual precipitation? It is a terminology which is used by the meteorologist people. You will know that average you can measure for 2 values, 3 values, 4 values. So average can be measured for different number of values. So sometimes we say average rainfall for last 10 years is so much. Average rainfall for last 2 years is so much. So this is fine. These are the average rainfall. So a special kind of average rainfall, which is actually average after 30 years of a station, that is given a special name. This is normal annual precipitation, NAP. So average or mean rainfall, annual rainfall for 30 years. So that is designated as normal annual precipitation. So when you will be seeing some certain reports about the average rainfall of certain location, so take care whether it is normal annual precipitation, then it is more realistic because it is taking care of 30 years of data. Or if it is simply an average or mean annual precipitation of a certain less number of years. So Pakistan Meteorological Department usually calculates NAP for each station once a 10-year decade is finished. So at the moment, because 2020 is still going on, they are not calculating the average rainfall for last 30 years from 2020 to 1990. 1990, 2000, 2010, 2020. These 30-year NAP have not yet been calculated. Current NAP for the meteorological station in Pakistan is using the 30-year data from 2010 to 1980. So 1980 to 2010 is the current NAP available for Pakistani station. When 2020 will be finished, then you will be getting an NAP for the next 3 decades. So NAP, you should be knowing. So this is a way of representing summation. You should understand this. Don't try to run away from it. This will be frequently utilized. This is the sign of summation of a P of different subscript. I is representing a year. So I change from 1 to 30, and you have to sum them together and then divide by 30. So actually this is a formula for average written in the summation form. Alternately, you could have write it P1 plus P2 plus P3 up to P30 divided by 30. So that is an alternate way of writing summation. Similarly, we can write the product with another sign. So if the NAP is within 10%, we will be using arithmetic mean method, and arithmetic means give the missing precipitation by simply taking the average of the surrounding station or average of the index stations. If there would have been 4 index stations, what will be the formula? Some students make a mistake over here. For 4 stations also they divide it by 3. So that is not the right way. So it should be the average of the surrounding index station. If there are 3, divided by 3. If there are 4, divided by 4. So quite easy method. In comparison to that, the second method is arithmetic. Instead of arithmetic mean, we have a normal ratio method. When the data of the surrounding index station varies more than the 10% of the NAP of the station with the missing data, if the variation is more, NAP variation is more, then we will be going for the normal ratio method. And in this method, amount of the precipitation and index station is weighted by ratio of the normal annual precipitation. Got it? So normal annual precipitation in this formula is represented by N, and the precipitation of the missing date is represented by P. For example, for a certain date, at station X, precipitation is missing. For the same date, we have the precipitation at A, B, and C stations. So we are not using arithmetic mean method because variation of normal annual precipitation of A, B, and C is more than 10% variation limit as compared to the normal annual precipitation of X. So we have decided to use normal ratio method. So in that case, we will be taking the ratio of normal precipitation at X station divided by the normal annual precipitation at the index station and multiply it with the PA, precipitation of that station. So we are normalizing the precipitation of the index by the ratio of the normal annual precipitation. Got it? For example, if normal annual precipitation at A was quite high, we will be dividing the precipitation by that normal annual precipitation and multiply it with the normal annual precipitation of the station X, for which we want to measure the rainfall. We want to estimate the rainfall, not measure the rainfall, estimate. Actually, this is the estimation formula. We could not measure the actual rainfall, so we are trying to estimate the rainfall. So each rainfall of the each index station rainfall is divided by its normal annual precipitation and multiplied with the normal annual precipitation of X station. So that is same thing over here, same thing over here, and then we take the average of these weighted average precipitation. So average of the weighted average precipitation. So these are the weighted average precipitation of surroundings. Got it? इसमें है कोई मसला? Again, I will say that if there would have been 4 stations, this formula will change. So that another station D, so then it will be plus NX over ND into PD, and division, this coefficient will be 4 then. So take into account how many number of stations. So this part is only weighted rainfall, and when we sum them together and divide by the number of the values, that is the averaging of that weighted values. So in this method, amount of the precipitation at index station, that is PA, is weighted by the ratio of normal annual precipitations, precipitation. So quite easy method, a numerical is there, which you can solve yourself, and also you should be assignment 3 in the same worksheet. So Word file is already with you. So assignment 3 should also be done. So precipitation station X was inoperative on 24th August 2010. The precipitation record for the same date, 24 August 2010, at 3 surrounding stations A, B, and C were. So these are the precipitations at the index stations. Normal annual precipitation at station X, A, B, and C. On all the 4 stations, normal annual precipitations are available. So find the precipitation at station X on 24 August, which was missing. So what should be the method? Anybody will tell whether we should go for arithmetic mean method or we should go for normal ratio method. So second method is normal ratio method. Which method we should use for this question? Anybody? We cannot directly answer which method we should go. We have to check it whether the normal annual precipitation of index stations A, B, and C are within 10% higher or 10% lower than the NAP of X station. NAP of X is 920. 10% of this will be 920 का 10% क्या बनेगा?
9.2.
92, I think.
92. 92.
92. So 92 is a 10%. Yeah. No, उनके अभी 10% लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. Only 10% of X we have to calculate, that is 92. Add it to 920 and subtract it from the 920. You will be having a range of the value which are 10% higher than the NAP of X and 10% lower than NAP of X. Alternatively, alternate way is multiply 920 with 1.1 and 0.9. You will be getting the same values, a range of the values. So if the NAP of A, B, and C index stations is within this range, arithmetic mean method is fine. If NAP of A, B, and C, if any one of them is out of this range, which we have just calculated, और वो कितनी range बन जाएगी? 920 का 1.1 और 920 into 1.1. So that is 1012, upper range is 1012 and the lower range is 0.9, 828. So within 828 and 1012, if the NAP of surrounding station is there, so then we say that arithmetic mean method is fine. Otherwise, we have to go to normal ratio method. So our lower limit was 828. So this figure and this figure both are below that. This figure is well within that. So because of these reasons, we have to go to the normal ratio method. 92, 828. Arithmetic mean should lie between 828, which is untrue for this. So we have to use for the normal ratio methods. That is what is informed over here. And normal ratio method have two kind of equation. Both are same. Nx is taken out over here only because Nx is repeated at the numerator of each of the component. So Nx is taken out. So this equation Px is equal to Nx over 3 because there were 3 stations. So PA over normal rainfall, annual rainfall of A, PB over normal rainfall of B. So missing date precipitation S is 90. I think the connection was lost and now it is back again. Mohsin Rana have raised his hand. Mohsin, do you have any question?
नो सर वो मिस्टेकनली हो गया था।
अच्छा, तो अभी मेरी आवाज जब कटी है तो कहाँ तक मैं पढ़ा चुका हूँ?
तो ये जो 10% है ये एरर की है, एरर एक्सेप्टेड है, ये तो नॉर्मल प्रेसिपिटेशन ही।
There is no error.
मतलब सर आपने ये 10% निकाले 92, आपने ये 920 में ऐड भी किया है और सब्ट्रैक्ट भी किया है, ये क्यों किया? रेंज फाइंड करने के लिए सर।
ये क्या है कि how to decide about the method, whether we have to use between arithmetic mean method or normal ratio method. The criteria is that if the surrounding station or index station rainfall, annual rainfall, normal annual rainfall lies within the 10% variation of the normal annual rainfall of the X station, then we will be using arithmetic method. Otherwise, we will be using the normal ratio method. So it is not any kind of error. That is a check we have to apply whether we will be using arithmetic ratio method or normal ratio. When there is much variation of the normal precipitation, when there is much variation of the normal precipitation, we should not use arithmetic mean. That is the message. If one station rainfall is quite high, normal precipitation, and you should keep in mind normal precipitation is giving us average precipitation of 30 years. So if a station is having quite high rainfall as compared to the other stations, as compared to the station at which the rainfall is missing, then simply taking average of all the surrounding station will give us more erroneous error as compared to other methods available, which take into account higher normal annual precipitation. Got it? So it is not the error acceptable. It is not the error acceptable. It is a way of checking which method we have to apply. इसी में अगर आप देख लो क्या फर्क क्या पड़ेगा if you carry out a simple arithmetic mean for a station which has quite lot of variation, so then a station which have a high annual rainfall, so its weight will be similar to the other rainfall station. Its importance will be similar to the other in arithmetic mean method. While in normal ratio method, that station rainfall is divided by its normal rainfall. So that is weighted average. So we are taking weighted average in case of normal ratio method. That is more logical, more understandable. So they have applied this normal ratio method over here. If all the three stations A, B, C, if all the three stations normal rainfall would have been in this range, then simple arithmetic mean method would have been sufficient. Okay, I was saying that this is the estimated rainfall, 95.68. Keep in mind, it is not the replacement of the actual rainfall. By using this missing data, you should keep in mind you have estimated a rainfall, and estimates are usually not the replacement of the actual one. We have no other way but to estimate, because at that day rain gauge station was inoperative, and inoperative can be because of different reason. The reader could have not gone there, somebody have thrown away the water, there can be different reason. The station have been washed away by heavy rainfall. So we have to try to get actual measured rainfall as far as possible. Don't rely on this. This is only the last resort to calculate the missing values. So it is not the replacement of actual one. actual data has its own importance. So another method is which we apply to check the validity of the data, whether the data is good or bad. We call it consistency check. For that purpose, we use a graphical method. Double mass analysis is carried out to check whether the data of a certain station is inconsistency with the record of the station at the similar location in the surrounding places. So when we, and what is a double mass curve? It is actually the cumulative of a station data, cumulative curve of a station data plotted against the cumulative values of a number of the surrounding stations. So double mass analysis tests the consistency of the record at a station. And how does it check? It compares cumulative or accumulated annual or seasonal precipitation, whatever data we are using. Either it is annual precipitation or seasonal or daily, whatever the data we have, we can apply a double mass curve. So it compares accumulated annual or seasonal precipitation with concurrent mean for the same time period, concurrent, with a concurrent accumulated value of mean precipitation for a group of with accumulated precipitation. Show a constant slope all along the curve. We say the station X is data is inconsistent with the surrounding station. So we carry out this double mass analysis for one station in comparison to a number of surrounding stations. So the result of one double mass curve will be that station, this value for data is inconsistent with the surrounding station data, or it is not inconsistent with that. So any change due to meteorological reason, due to the climatic reasons, that will not cause change in slope. Reason is that will be occurring on all any change of meteorological reason. For example, a storm have occurred. So it will occurring on the station on the surrounding station. So it is important that this double mass parameters, temperature, and those. So this is a general method. Double mass curve is a general method which can be applied for any kind of meteorological data. Similarly, okay, any change due to meteorological reason will not cause change of the slope, because all the base stations and the station whose consistency is in question will be affected by the meteorological conditions equally. So here is an example of a double mass curve, cumulative rain gauge at other stations, other gauges, and the cumulative rainfall on the suspected station. The gauge for which we want to check the consistency. For example, we are interested in the precipitation of Lahore rain gauge. So surrounding 10 station rain gauge data will be collected, and then we can plot the Lahore rain gauge cumulative rain for a number of years against the cumulative rainfall of all the stations which we have collected in the surrounding locations. So if we have a constant slope, you don't have to compare the values. Value of this 10 cumulative rain gauge will be much high. So we have to compare their slope. We have to just see the slope. So if the slope has prominent variation, prominent deviation, then we say that the data of this station is inconsistent. Then we try to find the reason of inconsistency. Once we have established that there is inconsistency, then we try to find the reasons of inconsistency. We visit the station, we check their recorded register we check. We see the posting and transfer of the gauge reader over there. We see the history of installation of the station over there, when instrument have been installed, when it was repaired, when it was replaced, when the gauge reader got the training, when the gauge reader was posted, when the gauge reader was transferred. So then we try to find the reasons of this inconsistency. So once this deviation have been found and the reasons have been established that these are the man-made reasons and there is not the meteorological reasons for this inconsistency. If the man-made reasons are there, then we correct this inconsistent data using the method slope correction we carry out. The correction factor is the slope of the reliable data divided by slope of the data to be adjusted. So slope of the reliable data. So the surrounding station, 10 station data will be considered reliable, and the current station data will be considered data to be adjusted. So that will be used, slope of the reliable data to the slope of. So this correction we apply once we have established that the inconsistency is because of not meteorological reason, but because of the reason which have been found, human interventions are the method of the reading was changed. Previously, upper meniscus was being read, now lower meniscus is being read. Previously, we have the gauge have been replaced, and now the measuring stick is a little bit shorter or a little bit longer. So it has been found. So that are the reasons which can be used. If it is found, then it can be used. Don't make reason at your own. So from the observation of the record of the station, these reasons can be found, and once it is found, then correction should be applied. So it is said that number of the surrounding station for this double mass analysis should be at least 10. At least 10 stations are considered sufficient if we have to carry out a good consistency check. Otherwise, if 10 stations are not there, then consistency of each station should be checked against the remaining stations. And that station which is found inconsistent, that should not be used for checking the consistency of the other station. So considerable caution should be exercised while applying. This is an easy method, but a lot of thinking need to be applied when you want to find the reasons of this inconsistency. So deviations, considerable caution must be exercised in applying this technique, because plotted points deviate about a mean line and changes in slope should be only accepted if there is a marked difference. A small difference of the slope variation which comes back to normal value again, that can be ignored. So if there is a marked difference substantiated by the other evidences. What do we mean by other evidences? I am telling you that if you have found the inconsistency, then you should see the record of working of that station. You have to visit that station, get the register of that station, transfer posting you have to see. So that is the other evidences. So if you have seen a marked difference and it is substantiated, it is proved by other evidences also, then inconsistency should be marked. If the slope change remains for a shorter period of less than 5 years, this change should be ignored as a local variation. Data is still considered consistent. So end result of this analysis is whether the data of a certain station is inconsistent with the other stations or not. If it is not, either we drop that station for our further analysis, or we use the data with a lot of care. If the data of a station is not inconsistent, or we correct that data. Correction method is there. So that is how we don't blindly use the data which we get from any gathering company, data collection company. We check it. We check the missing value. We carry out the consistency check. And now there are other methods which can give consistency check also. other more in-depth statistical analysis are there, but this double mass curve is quite reliable, and it has a visual presentation of inconsistency. It has a visual observation. We can see from the graph. Causes of inconsistency, I have already told you. If the location of the gauge is changed, for example, if it was a river data and previously data was measured at 10 kilometer upstream and now data is measured 10 kilometer downstream and same station name is being utilized. So data should not be, the double mass curve should show this inconsistency. Change in the instrument, if the method of measurement or method of recording is different, then inconsistencies are visible. Changes in observation procedure, if it happens. So these are some of the causes of inconsistency. So this is the second thing which we apply. I take a 5-minute break over here, and then we start with the how to carry out the averaging of the precipitation data. And you have done it in lab part also. So if you have some questions, you are welcome to ask in this part. So after 5-minute break, I will be restarting it. I can continue it and finish it in 15. I think I should do it like this. क्या ख्याल है आप लोगों का? I should continue.
Yes, sir. Continue.
Yes, sir. Continue कर लें.
Okay, I continue and try to leave it earlier because I have a meeting today also. At 11 o'clock, I have to prepare something. We have a board of governors meeting today. And also I would like to share, आप सबको पता चल गया है कि गवर्नमेंट ने स्कूलों को बंद करने का वो दे दिया है 26 से. University will decide today or tomorrow. There will be a meeting of chairmans and deans, and over there they will decide what to do. Most probably they will go towards, most probably but not sure, they will go towards online teaching, and you are already online. So उनको बाकियों को फर्क पड़ेगा मुझे लगता है.
सर एग्जाम्स नहीं होंगे फिर ऑनलाइन ही होंगे एग्जाम.
मैंने कहा ना आज या कल डिसाइड होगा. लास्ट सेमेस्टर हमने क्या किया था कि हमने एग्जाम बुला लिया था, याद है? लास्ट सेमेस्टर में
सर इकट्ठे हुए थे बाद में.
हाँ, बाद में कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव हुआ था. तो हमारे पास 2-3 मोड हैं. एक ये कि अभी चूंकि यूनिवर्सिटी में बच्चे बड़े हैं, इनका इम्तिहान लेके ना छुट्टी करो, स्कूलों के वाले हालात नहीं है यूनिवर्सिटी में. एक ये कि वही ऑनलाइन टीचिंग करें, एग्जाम आखिर में बुला के ले लें. दोनों पॉसिबल है. सो इट विल बी डिसाइडेड टुडे और टुमारो. ठीक है? ओके, लेट अस कंटिन्यू. So if you have applied both of these methods for averaging the precipitation, one is arithmetic average, तो आपने नहीं की होगी. We usually don't apply it. Thiessen method and isoheitel method, if you have applied in the lab or not?
Yes, sir.
Lab. Have you calculated the average rainfall for a certain station using Thiessen polygon method, and the second is isoheitel method. So both of this you have done from the yes sir, what I understand. So why we have to do it? Because rainfall is varying from one place to other place, and we have a number of stations installed in the area of our interest. Usually area of our interest is usually कौन सा area होता है? If you are carrying out of a hydrological study of a river station, so what will be the area of your interest? उस area को क्या कहते हैं? अगर आपने flood को calculate करना है या water की, if you have to calculate the water availability at a certain river station, what is the area of your interest? If you want to make a reservoir close to Lahore on Ravi River, what is the name we give to the area of interest? क्या है? In hydrology, we use a special name for that area. How much area will be of your interest? Let us say like this. If you are trying to estimate the water availability for a station on Ravi near Lahore, let us say Shadra station, what area will be of your interest? You will be interested, and what is the name for that area? उठो यार, जागो.
Sir, catchment area.
Yeah, that word I wanted.
Sir, basin. Basin.
Basin. So catchment area is the right word. Basin I use for the catchment when the outlet is at the sea, when the outlet is at a permanent water body. So I have got the message bad network quality. Okay, now it is gone. So basin I will use when I will be measuring the water availability at the delta of the Indus River. So here I will use as the catchment. Basin and catchment are similar with respect to collection of water. All area which contribute water at a certain location. So that is catchment area. And if we are talking about the whole river which is joining the permanent water body like sea, so then we are saying this is a basin, Indus Basin. So Indus Basin has the outlet at the sea. While if I say a little bit upstream, Kotri, if I talk Kotri, then I will be saying it is watershed of the Kotri Barrage, watershed of the Sakhar watershed of Guddu Barrage, watershed of Chishma Kaunsa Barrage. So watershed is a correct answer. So because there is a variation of the rainfall in the area of our interest, and if we have many stations in that area of our interest, then we have to we need sometime the average rainfall for that area. So calculation of the average rainfall for the area of our interest is having three methods. One is the most simple one. Simply take the arithmetic average. Like you have taken for missing data also, you have used the arithmetic mean method. So here there is for averaging, simply arithmetic average is one of the method, most easy but not much reliable, because area under the influence of one station is not same as the area under the influence of the other station, because stations are not uniformly distributed in the area. You have seen the station distribution in Pakistan gauge network map. You've seen in this station. This station has more area under its influence. This station has very less area under the influence. So simple taking arithmetic average will yield erroneous result. It will yield a result, but that will not be proper representation, because area under a certain rainfall is different. So we have to rely on other methods. So other methods are available. If you are sure that the area gauges are evenly distributed and the rainfall does not vary much, then arithmetic mean method can be utilized. Arithmetic average method. So this can be used only when uniform precipitation almost at all the stations is there. When stations are equally spaced in the area. This uniformity is not much important, but main thing is if the stations are equally spaced in the area. When they are equally spaced in the area, it means their area of influence will also be the same. So if it's so this condition, then arithmetic mean can be utilized, and it should be utilized for smaller study areas, not for the larger study area. So when this method is utilized, there is a variation in precipitation almost 10% from the mean value is not very true. When there is a variation in precipitation almost 10% from the mean value, outcome is not very true. Outcome of this method, when there is only 10% variation is there, then if we use arithmetic average method, that will not be yielding good result. So this is simply a method for very small areas or for the area when stations are evenly located, evenly spaced. So most of the time we used either of these two methods, Thiessen polygon method or isohytal method. This attempt to allow for non-uniform distribution of the gauges. When gauges are not equally spaced and they are not uniformly located all along the area, then we go for the isohytal method. How do we carry out this averaging technique? We plot the stations on a map, on a scaled map. The location of the station is plotted on a scaled map, and then we connect them with the connecting lines. Stations are connected graphically through the connecting line. Then we draw the perpendicular bisector of the connecting lines, and those perpendicular bisector then help us mark the polygon around each station. Then this perpendicular bisector help us, they mark the area of the influence in the form of the polygons. So each polygon is assumed as the effective area of the gauge within that polygon. So its shape will be like this. For Pakistan, this is the Thiessen polygon drawn over here. So polygon is a shape having multiple sides on. So triangle is also a polygon, rectangular is also a polygon. So polygon have multi-faces shape. It's a 2D shape, not a 3D shape. So this polygon help us find the area of the influence of a station. So once we have the polygons drawn, then next is measurement of the polygons. So area of each polygon, the instrument is used to measure the area of an irregular area using a mechanical instrument. So it has wheels installed to it, and we move the pen of the planimeter on the boundary of the area, and it gives us on the scale how much is the area. If the area is alternatively, if we have the hard copy of that map, we can divide it into the smaller squares, and we can calculate the area using the number of squares. Or alternatively, if you have drawn that map on AutoCAD or on GIS, then that can give you the area of each polygon. So previously, when AutoCAD, computer, and GIS were not there, planimeter was a standard way of measurement of the polygons. And that was considered more accurate as compared to measuring the squares. Squares will be giving you good answer if the square are drawn to a very small size. Then it will be giving. So that is then much more laborious job. So planimeter have been utilized for decades for measurement. Nowadays we are not using planimeter. Digital methods are available using AutoCAD, GIS, or any software which can help you find the area of a figure. So that can be used. So when polygon area is known to us, then weighted average rainfall is calculated. Weighted average rainfall for the total area is computed by multiplying the precipitation over each gauge and its effective area. So we multiply them, then we sum them together and divide it by the whole area. So that will be the weighted average using the Thiessen polygon method. So 60 to 2010 rainfall was available with the Pakistan Met Department with Mr. Faisal Ghaffar, 2012. He had these, how many years? 40, 50 year data. Is it the normal rainfall, annual rainfall? So this is not the NAP. NAP has that it should be there for 30 years, not for more than or less than 30 years. You can check that. Okay, so he used 50-year data for all the stations of Pakistan. He made the Thisan polygon, and then from multiplied the area of each station with the rainfall of that station, and sum them together and divided by the total area of the Pakistan. He got the average annual rainfall of Pakistan 297 millimeter. If a station is added to this network, and it happens, we are enhancing our gauge network. So new polygons have to be drawn, because if I add one station over here, so new connector will be there, new bisector will be there, so shape of this area will be changing. So that is one of the drawback of this method. If a station has been replaced or a new station have been added in the network, you have to redo this networking problem again. You have to do this Thisan polygon method again. Now the GIS software like ArcGIS or other software, they are now provided with the small programs, hydrological programs, that can help you making these polygons in a few clicks. You give it the total area, you give it the location of the station, and it can give you the Thisan polygon easily. And you can then ask him to give the area of each polygon independently, and you can calculate the averaging quite easily. It has a merits, it has a demerit. A merit is that it can take care of unevenly distributed gauges quite easily, so because it calculates the effective area. Demerit is laborious job, and we have to redo it at times taking. We have to redo it when there is a change of the network. It is applicable for large and variable precipitation areas. So it is a standard method of averaging the precipitation data or temperature data or other data which have a point data with us, and we want to find the average of the whole area. Got it? If you have only one station, you don't have to go for this laborious job. That one station is representing the rainfall of that area. If you have two stations, then just draw a line between these two stations and have a perpendicular bisector. Then two area will be demarcated. One station will be showing the rainfall for one area, other. So if you have three stations or more, then the polygons will be formed. So you can have the idea that more the stations, more will be the necessity of the Thisan polygon. Another method which overcomes some of the problem of the Thisan polygon have a problem that there is an abrupt change of the average rainfall from one station, from one polygon to other polygon. For example, if in front of me there is a Sibi station and there is a Kalat station over here and a Quetta station over here, these polygons, demarcation lines, these lines of the polygons, they are actually the change lines. If somebody asks me what is the average rainfall for the area in surrounding to the Sibi area, so we will be using the Sibi station average rainfall. Total rainfall. So if somebody asks what is the rainfall in this area, so we will be using Quetta station. So just on the right side of this line, it will be the Sibi rainfall effective. On the left side of this line, Quetta rainfall will be. So there is a sudden change of rainfall from with respect to these polygon lines. So this sudden variation of rainfall is not actually the actual climatic condition. Actual climatic condition don't have a sudden increase or reduction of the rainfall, actual one. When we move from Lahore to Faisalabad, we don't have a wall that suddenly there is a change of rainfall. So rainfall varies smoothly. So this polygon, Thisan polygon method have a serious this shortcoming that it shows the rainfall of a station with respect to the station in that place, and there is a sudden change. Variation is not smooth from one polygon to the other polygon. So that is overcome by the isohydral method. Isohydral example we need, in which in isohydral method we have a smooth change from one location to the other location. We draw the lines of equal rainfall. We draw the line of equal precipitation using the interpolation method, and more are the number of the isohyets. Smooth variation will be shown over there. So this is the most accurate method when used by experienced analysts. So here good experience is necessary, because for interpretation and seeing the effect of the topography, also sometimes we accommodate in the isohyets. So station location and amounts of precipitation. This is a method now it is specifying. In the similar way as we have done in the Thiessen polygon, first we have to plot the map and the location of the station true to the scale. On a scale we draw them. Similar we have done in the Thiessen polygon. You have a map on a scale, you have a point located true to their locations. So once you have the isohyet stations located, and then you mark the rainfall of each station over there. At each station, you mark its rainfall. For example, you will value of the rainfall, which you have recorded 270, 380, 120. So value of each station rainfall will be mentioned at that station. And then we will be lines of equal precipitation, which are called as isohyets. So those are drawn by interpolating the precipitation in between the gauges. So that is the whole thing. The lines of equal precipitation are drawn by interpolating the precipitation in between the gauges. So because you have done it manually yourself, for example, if you have a 180 millimeter rainfall record, noted at Sibbi, 120 is over here at ये कौन सा है Barkhan. So between these two stations, you can find the point of, if this was 180, this is 120, you can find the point of 150 line. You can find the point of 140 line. You can find the point by interpolation. Interpolation is done by measuring the distance and measuring the difference, measuring the distance, measuring the difference. So then you interpolate in between. So you can mark the points of different rainfall between these two stations. Similarly, you do it with other. Similarly, we do with other. Then point of the same precipitation are joined with the help of the freehand line. And similarly, and if you continue this for the other station, you get the isohyets showing the rainfall of the same quantity. So I again repeat, lines of equal precipitation are drawn by interpolating the precipitation in between the gauges. So once you have the isohyet marked on the map, then average rainfall for the whole area is computed by weighing the average precipitation between successive isohyet. Between two isohyet, we take the usually taken as average of the two isohyet. We multiply the area between two isohyet with the average of the values of the isohyet. So, and we add all such multiplications together, and we divide it by total area. So average is computed by weighing the average precipitation between successive isohyets, and usually it is taken as the average of the two isohyet values. And as done in the Thiessen method, the sum of these product is divided by total area. So this is the way how we calculate the isohyet. We mark the isohyet and then we average. So it is again a laborious job. We have to carry it out for every year for the new rainfalls, and we calculate the average. And GIS software have make it computerized also. So this is applicable for all kind of area, large or small, with the uniform and non-uniform rainfall. Deep is hectic and time consuming. Merit is applicable to area with non-uniform, and an expert is required because you have and you can take it into account the orographic effect. If you want to tell that, okay, here is a barrier, rainfall will not occur, you can change the contour. So that's finish this one. If you have any questions in this method, you have done it, you might have faced some problem. You can ask you can ask it me. So if no questions, I take your attendance, download the attendance.
सर एक क्वेश्चन था
जी बोलो।
सर, ये जो हमारे पास सर जो ओशन एरिया है वो बहुत ज़्यादा है और हम प्रेसिपिटेशन भी ओशंस पर ज़्यादा होती है, लेकिन ओशंस पर रेन गेजेस बहुत ही कम इंस्टॉल हैं। वो मे भी कोई आइलैंड्स पर होंगी एक दो, जो वैसे बहुत कम येलो डॉट्स नज़र आ रहे थे ओशन एरिया पर। तो इससे काफ़ी इफेक्ट नहीं आता होगा इसकी प्रेसिपिटेशन फाइंड कर ले?
हाँ जी, if you don't have the rain gauge installed, precipitation is difficult to estimate, but now with the satellites we are covering that gap. And the second thing, हमें पहले इसमें मसला इसलिए नहीं आया कि precipitation or the rain over the ocean does not affect my infrastructure. If somebody want to estimate the hydrological cycle or overall the quantity of the water over the globe, he would be interested on the rainfall on the oceans. For me, who has to make a dam or canal or irrigation or agriculture, ocean rainfall is not affecting me. For those who are interested in the world, global climate and meteorology, those are interested in that. And for them, these island stations were the source previously, and now satellite-based rainfall is the rainfall measurement is the latest way of information. यही सवाल था, तुम्हारी ऑब्जर्वेशन सही थी. We don't have data on the options. अच्छा, और मैंने क्या करना है? अटेंडेंस क्या है? 24 क्या है? I am giving this attendance to WhatsApp. ये तो गलत चीज चली गई है ना, ये तो नहीं है अटेंडेंस. ये 12-11 की है. आज क्या है? 24 क्या है? ये वाली attendance. So thank you very much. If you have no questions, I stop the recording, stop the sharing.